Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by the good folks at BKCW. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined each and every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Be sure to tell us where you're checking in from, what you're drinking, get all your questions in. And also, it's 92 days away from kickoff as we dwindle that number down every so often. So be sure to tell us who your favorite number 92 is. A few more choices today. The current number 92 before anyone has to look at the roster. Anybody know?
I do.
Who you got, Bobby?
Colton Bostic. Colton Bostic, young man out of Austin, Westlake. Hopefully he's coming back from a shoulder injury, Jerry, that sidelined him a little bit. He's had leg issues, shoulder injury. Hopefully this is his year to be fully healthy, because I think him at the defensive end position gives Texas not only a really, really good player, but the depth that they've tried to build at that position is already pretty strong, but he gives them an extra piece of the puzzle. So I hope he's having a good recovery this offseason. Also want to mention a couple of former 92s. James Patton, former defensive tackle at the University of Texas, played in the NFL, high round draft pick for the Buffalo Bills. And Les Studdard was number 92 for the Longhorns. Les, by the way, is the uncle of Casey Studdard and is from Pearsall, Texas. I don't know if y'all remember who is the most famous person ever from Pearsall, Texas. If you can get it in the chat, let us know. It's the king of country, George Strait, is from Pearsall, Texas, just south of San Antonio there. So anyways, long story short, it's 92 days away. Excited. Also have some stuff to talk about from Greg Sankey yesterday. The SEC commissioner and what's going on as it relates to the college football playoff. We have a new release of a All-American team from Athlon Sports that has a few Longhorns on it. We'll discuss that. But first, we have a special guest, Blake. Time to bring in one of the heroes of yesterday's softball game.
That is correct. I'm going to bring her in. Joley Mitchell, the first Longhorn to ever hit 2 home runs or more in the Women's College World Series. How's it going this morning?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Congratulations, Joley. Y'all pulled one out yesterday. Tegan Kavon had a heck of a pitching performance, 2-hit shutout. You hit 2 tanks out of the park. What's it like there? And congratulations on the win yesterday.
Thank you very much. It's very electric here. There's a lot of people, and this is a stage that everybody wants to play on. So I'm glad I get to come back and do it with this team, and I think we're ready to move forward and win the national championship.
Okay, so what's the feeling? Okay, 1 home run, awesome, College World Series. What was the feeling on the second one? I mean, is there a different feeling after you hit 2 in that setting? I mean, like when you're rounding second and third, is it like a different feeling than the first one?
It was kind of an, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just did that. My goal this year was to hit one because I didn't hit one last year. Right. But yeah, coming back in around third base to the dugout to my teammates, we were really excited. And I knew that I was just going to help propel them forward to win the ball game.
It's good stuff there, Joley. Y'all are now going to play Oklahoma. And they have been the team of college softball for a long period of time. Tough matchup for you guys, but you're basically in the semifinals, at least in the winner's bracket, right? What's it like, and what are y'all thinking about? Because y'all lace them up tomorrow with them.
I'm excited to face OU. I mean, whoever we got, them or Tennessee, I was going to be really excited to see what our team was going to do. I think a big part is that we just have to fix our mistakes that we had in the series this year. We can't worry about them. We have to worry about ourselves. So not making it a bigger moment than it is.
Okay, so I'm exiting softball for a second. Now it's kind of softball. You're from Rosebud, Arkansas. You had 40 people in your high school. How big does all this feel? You went to Notre Dame, then to Texas. When did you realize, okay, this is all a possibility for me from tiny Rosebud, Arkansas?
I mean, growing up, I played because my friends were playing. And so I think my story's kind of funny. It's because it wasn't just because I wanted to. It was just because my friends were. I grew up. I graduated with 52 people in my graduating class in high school. And a lot of us, were really close. And then I ended up going to Notre Dame. I really enjoyed it there and got to experience everything I could in my life. And then I just decided I wanted to play in the World Series. And so I transferred here, big dream of mine. And I have a ton of fans. There were a ton of girls that I give lessons to at home that were here yesterday. And so I'm glad that their parents sacrificed so that they can come watch me play. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I'm very proud of it. I love being a small town girl.
And you hit 2 home runs for them.
Right.
That's got to be kind of cool for them. I was going to ask you about that. The series win over Clemson last week was one of those nip and tuck the whole way through, right? Not every single game was tight and every pitch contested. Did that give you all some momentum going into Oklahoma City Women's College World Series?
I absolutely believe so. I mean, first game, we kind of came out. There was a weather delay. We were dead. And after that, we said, okay, it's now or never. And we played really awesome the last 2 games. Yeah, it was tight. And we got into a really tough situation there the second game, second and third, no outs and extra innings. And so we can get out of that. We can get out of anything. Same thing happened last year with the A&M series and Supers. It was a really tough weekend. And we always laugh because we say that the Supers are tougher than the World Series. But I was really proud of my team, how we fought, and a good way to propel into this week.
Well, you guys have got a big one tomorrow. Tegan had a hell of a pitching performance yesterday. What did you think of your pitcher yesterday?
She did a really good job of, we talk about staying centered. I always do this to her so that she's looking at what's in front of her and not what's going on behind her. That's our job to worry about. I told her that we had her back and that she just needed to attack the hitters, and she did a really great job of that.
I wanted to ask you, so one of the things in sports is you have to overcome injury, right? You guys lost a preseason All-American before the season. Kind of talk about how you guys as a team dealt with that, pulled together, and continued on this path y'all been on, because it's tough to lose a preseason All-American to injury.
Absolutely. It's tough too, especially with the position. I mean, it's hard to just jump in and play shortstop. I think a really great part of this injury is that Vivi has stepped up beyond what I could imagine. She's always in the dugout. She's cheering for us. She kept the iPad all year so that we could, watch film afterwards, whatever we needed to. So I think it's actually helped us too, that we have people who are confident to go out there and play the position unselfishly. And she's actually just a huge part of this team. She travels with us. She's so involved in practice. And so her being uplifting when it's probably the hardest time in her life is very uplifting for our team.
What do you think if I said, okay, what are a couple of keys for you guys the rest of the way? What are a couple of keys for you guys as a team the rest of the way in the World Series?
I would say number one is communicate. We had this going on the last couple of weeks. We didn't have good communication going into the regional. And so we decided that this is what we were going to do. If we were going to be annoying, we're going to be annoying towards each other. We're going to communicate outs, runner situations. Hey, you got this every single pitch. And we've done a really great job of that. And I think it helps out a lot too. Keeps our pitchers really engaged and gets them encouraged that they can pitch their game. Another thing is just to focus on us. I think that people get kind of caught up in you're playing OU and you're playing A&M. It doesn't matter. It's the game of softball, and we're playing softball. We're not playing the opponent. The only person that can control it is us. So we're just trying to focus on what we can do. We know that we're physically a great team, and that's all that we need to work on.
I said that was my last question. I lied. I have one more I got to ask you. So you played at Notre Dame. You were at Notre Dame, a storied athletic program, and now you're at Texas. Talk about the energy at Texas, around Texas right now as an athlete, with all the success in all sports. For the people maybe that are 1,000 people or what, so they're listening to this, kind of what is that like at UT right now and around Austin?
Yeah, I mean, UT is incredible. I love athletics department, every sport. You meet great people and they're great athletes too, which is so awesome. It's like you might go some places and they're good at their sport, or maybe they're not and they're nice, or they're really good at their sport and they're not. I mean, I love everybody that I've met here at Texas. The fans are super awesome, and I don't understand why Texas fans get so much hate, that they're rude. They're not. They seriously just love the burnt orange, and they love the Longhorns, and they support us kids. And so I love being here, and I love the support that we have, especially with the growing sport of softball. But being a Longhorn is so amazing, and I'm very blessed for it.
Joley, I've got to ask you this, because Jerry normally asks some of our guests, what's your favorite place to go wind down in Austin and eat after softball is over? Where do you like to go hang out?
Oh, that's a tough question. We go to Haymaker a lot. That's because it's right by the softball field, so we go hang out at Haymaker a lot. If I'm going to go to nice dinner, I like going to Fix Southern House. They have really good biscuits there.
Okay.
Hey, there you go. Hey, from tiny Rosebud, Arkansas.
That's awesome.
The national television on Saturday on ABC. I think it's is it a 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock start for you guys against OU? We wish you nothing but the best luck. And you know what? 2 home runs in a College World Series. Joley, congratulations. It's a memory you'll have forever, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I predict you'll have the Rosebud Stadium named after you, the field named after you one day. So we look forward to posting pictures of that one day when that happens, because that's my prediction.
Thank you, guys. Hook 'em.
Hook 'em horns. Take care. Good luck to you. That's good stuff, guys. It's nice having young student athletes on the show because they're the ones out there putting on the show, right? They're the ones that are fighting for it every day, and nice young woman there.
She got the softball field in Rosebud named after her yesterday. After that, I don't think there's any doubt. That's like the easiest prediction. Here's my crystal ball. She got the field named after her.
Oh man! All right, Bobby. Before we move on, can you tell everyone out there this morning about how to escape the insurance trap?
Yeah, today's show being brought to you by our friends over at BKCW. If your business has had a frustrating insurance or employee benefits renewal, most likely you didn't hear from your agent all year, and then right before it was time to renew, your agent delivered the bad news of a rate increase. When this happens, the agent is providing no value, and you're stuck in what we call the insurance trap. BKCW takes you out of the insurance trap by providing you with actual risk management consulting, not just price quoting. Operating out of its headquarters in Austin and owned by UT grad, BKCW uses a 5-step process to identify its business's weak spots, design a plan, execute it, and monitor your business's situation throughout the year so that you can lower your insurance costs while effectively managing your company's risk. BKCW has helped some of the most well-known construction companies, restaurants, breweries, nonprofits, school districts escape this insurance trap. It can help your business do the same, and it all starts with a free risk assessment. Go to bkcw.com or send an email, info@bkcw.com, to get started with a free risk assessment or claims audit. Escape the insurance trap with bkcw.com. Thank you for your sponsorship of On Texas Football.
All right. Well, one of the other things we're going to talk about this morning is the baseball field. Progress was made, went from this.
Okay. Oh my God!
Which we all saw, and then before
that's center field, by the way.
Yes, to this as of yesterday afternoon.
Okay,
that's unbelievable.
Is that not crazy?
That's awesome. I mean, congrats to the people that got out there and got it done.
Yes,
that's
been working that. We need that crew. They've been working on I-10 for 20 years.
Dude. I-10 and I-45, man. Woo. Brutal. Hey, Blake, when do the men get started today? Who's pitching? That sort of stuff in the super or in the regional here.
Honestly, I'm not sure if they've named the starter yet. Somebody will probably correct me in the chat. I didn't have time to look last night because I took Colt fishing. But they do get started at 1 o'clock today against Houston Christian. And then, of course, UTSA will play Kansas State after that. If you want a preview of the Austin Regional, then we posted bases loaded early yesterday. So for everybody that normally asks about Ethan Walker, there we go. I had heard it may be him or Bing. So there we go. Ethan Walker is your starter. Thank y'all for letting me know that. But yeah, 1 o'clock today, bases loaded is already out. Give you a good primer for the Austin Regional. Jeff, CJ, and I took a really close look at it, and then also made some picks for who's going to win it all. So be sure to check that out.
Hey, I hate to do it, but I got to give a hat tip, man, because the chat's been I was looking at the comments in the chat about Tennessee choking yesterday, and we got to give people credit where they deserve it. That Oklahoma softball program has some real clutch factor and winner's DNA to it. They just come up big when they have to. And so I hate to do it, but you need to give people credit. That they got DNA out the yin yang right now in that program. Whatever that coach does to get those, I know they're talented. There's a lot of talented teams, though. but they have real DNA on that team right now.
Speaking of,
if you missed it, I'm sorry, Blake, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, speaking of DNA, I wanted to read this comment from Kelsey Gwynn, who says, congrats to Longhorn softball commits Anna Wealth and Mia Clemmer and the Kahoma softball team for winning back-to-back-to-back state championships yesterday. So
3 state. If you didn't see the game yesterday, what Jerry's referencing with Oklahoma, OU was down most of the game, 2-0, then 3-1. They were down in the 7th inning with 2 outs, and a young woman hit a ball, a walk-off homer, and I don't know how far that thing went, but it was still going.
Yeah.
So Oklahoma walked it off with a home run, to Jerry's point, with 2 outs, and it's pretty strong. So it was a good win for Oklahoma. Sets up a Texas OU matchup tomorrow, like we talked about with Joley when she was on ABC. That's kind of cool. Little small Rosebud, Arkansas. It's a national television.
Look, I didn't even know where Rosebud was, Bobby. I had to literally look that up on the map. And I didn't want to say it, but it's the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I believe it.
I mean, it's an hour, 15 minutes maybe from Searcy. I mean, it's like there is not – I mean, she said 52 people in her graduating class. I figured it was smaller. I mean, that's pretty cool that she came from Rosebud. And when you look at history, and not saying she's going to be a Hall of Famer or that, but it's kind of cool when you look at history, like where a lot of the best athletes or performers or people came from. It's amazing how many small towns are involved there.
All right, well, let's talk a little recruiting. Jerry, what you got for us this morning?
Yeah, we're going to bring up the heat map because I posted the official visitors heat map for Texas. This is Texas, but this really kicks off the big official visit weekends. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is Texas has about 56. We're going to be, by the way, we're going to be joined by Trott O'Neal, the long snapper commitment of the Texas Longhorns, who are coming up at around 9 a.m. So we'll get his background, talk to him about his commitment to Texas and all that good stuff. But so this is the Texas official visitors, where these guys are from around the country. Texas gets going with their official visits the 6th through the 8th, and then 13th, 15th, 20th through 22nd. But a lot of these guys on this map are visiting elsewhere this weekend. I think there's 33 targets for Texas that are making official visits around the country. As you'd expect, Georgia has Xavier Crowell, Caden Prothrow, James Johnson, Tico Crittenden, Justice Fitzpatrick. Ohio State, Felix Ojo, Luke Wafel, Jake Krull, Xavier Griffin. Florida has Hezzy Kent, Vodney Cleveland, Jarayla McCoy. LSU has Jalen Lott, Jaden Crimpin, Jamarian Carlton. Miami has 3 guys, Samari Matthews, Lamar Brown, Derek Cooper. Clemson has 3 guys. Florida State has 3 guys. Alabama has Malachi Lee, Braden Rouse. So this is the first. Now, there's been some guys take some official visits in May, but this is when everything kicks off. This is the month. Gird up your loins, recruit through the whistle. All your sayings. It's time for all of it because this is when we get going this weekend. Now, Texas obviously has an elite camp, which we're watching, monitoring 2027 quarterbacks on Sunday. Not a big camp in terms of numbers. They have a camp on the 5th, a camp on the 12th as well. So kids will be kind of throughout all the month at those 3 camps. But we're watching Peyton Houston, Malachi Ziegler, and any other quarterbacks in 27 this weekend in Austin. But in the 26 class, this is when it all gets going. And this is kind of what I've said. We've talked about on the show. I mean, look, these recruitments can change in a second. They can change in an hour. They can change in a day. Right now, there's 56 guys that are locked in for Texas official visits. I think 3 or 4 of those kids will commit elsewhere, and that number will peel back, right? Because all the kids may not feel the same love from Texas they do other schools, NIL, blah, 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 blah. I think Texas will add a couple official visitors to it as well. But this is when it gets real for all these kids. This is when the pressure really starts, Bobby, in recruiting for these kids. It's fun. But now you get to the real pressure of all this when you're coming down to it the next month and you're visiting those 3-4 schools that your decision is going to come down to. And you have the NIL agent negotiations, and you have the close to home versus far away. You have the relationships. And the hardest part, this is when these kids have to start to tell people no. And that's the hardest part of the process, and that's where the pressure sets in.
Jerry, I actually have another question for you. I've seen this, and I don't know how to take it. There are a lot of guys saying they're committing now in July.
Yeah.
Like they've announced that they've got a firm commitment date in mind. I don't remember there being as much of that last year. Like they're now pre-announcing commitment dates. Is there a reason for that? Is it maybe NIL? Is it getting ready for the season? I mean, Xavier Griffin, the linebacker out of Georgia, did that the other day, and it was somebody else that did it yesterday. And I'm trying to figure out why they're doing that.
Well, I think July 4th's always been a day because, they want us to work all day on the 4th, obviously, because there's about 15 kids that will announce decisions on that around July 4th nationally. So I don't think there's a rhyme or reason to it, really. I think every year that process gets accelerated a little bit more, and the process starts earlier for these kids. I mean, the one thing about it is with the college coaches now be able to make in-home visits in January and May, that even accelerates the process even more. So, I mean, it's like Sark said in his press conference at the Houston Touchdown Club of Houston. Sorry for mispronouncing that one. He said the head coach really isn't even involved in the in-home visit process anymore. In January, they go to schools, but it's maybe one amongst the dumbest rules. The head coach can meet at the school with the player and the parents. But the assistant coaches can go in home and have an in-home visit. It's just dumb. But to the point, this process keeps being accelerated. And now you have had your in-home visits in January and in May with the coaches. You have really strong relationships there. Your parents have a good feel for the staffs. They've been on campus multiple times. And so this process continues to accelerate. And instead of August, a lot of kids deciding in August right before the season, we're now into July. And I think the combination of the in-home visits now being in the spring and NIL is the reason. The process feels like it's near completion a few weeks earlier than prior years.
It's just a feeling for me.
Yeah.
And I don't have the hard data on that, but it feels it to me at the very least.
Hey, Jerry, a couple of other recruiting questions for you, and I believe you answered this one earlier in the week, but B2 and ATX says, isn't a guy from Hawaii coming in for an official?
Malachi, if you're talking about the offensive tackle, Malachi Lee from Honolulu, he comes in June 6th through 8th. Michigan's the 20th. He's at Alabama this weekend. He's already visited Georgia. So I think those are your four. USC has been trying. BYU was trying. But I think it's really going to come down to those four. And it'll be interesting. It's similar to Brandon Baker's recruitment. I'm not saying Lee's going to Texas. What I am saying is came down to SEC and Big Ten school for one of the best offensive linemen out west. And that's kind of where we're at. Brandon Baker came down to Ohio State, Texas, Georgia. A lot. Oregon kind of drifted away. And that one, Malachi Lee, is Michigan, 3 SEC schools. Then Talanoa Ely, the linebacker who was played last year at Orange Lutheran in Orange, California, is back at Kahuku. Obviously, Kahuku puts out big-time players, Leon Willifau. I mean, you can go down the list. They have great high school football at Kahuku. He's at Kahuku. He's scheduled to be in June 13th as well. So 2 players from Hawaii. Johnny Nance and Kyle Flood went out there in May. Johnny Nance obviously saw more than just Malachi Lee. He saw multiple guys, some younger guys as well out in Hawaii.
And then
Dwayne Akina is Hawaiian, by the way, so he's going to put the voodoo on him and bring him to Austin.
I'm sure him and Nansen live on the same street, or they have houses on the same street in Hawaii. That's the rumor.
And then, Jerry, I'm going to let you read this question because I'm going to butcher the name, so I'll let you do it.
I was asking about a French guard. I'd heard that's kind of cooled off, but we'll see. we'll see where that goes. Look, for basketball, it's really, this final spot is really going to come down to what is an agent player expectations versus the fit. And Sean Miller's talked about this on an interview he's been on. He's talked about this. That is really what it's going to come down to for that final spot on this roster. If somebody comes in and was like, hey, if the agent's like, my guy, he's got these places saying he can play 25 minutes a game or he's going to be a starter. Well, Texas has good, they have too many guys right now. They're not going to promise that. They're building a culture and starting a program build under Sean Miller. So I would say this, that guy, and Sean Miller said 2 to 4 weeks. I lean closer to 4, but we'll see. Things change. It's going to be about fit more than anything with this final spot. That I can tell you.
Hey, I want to mention real quick, also something that we've talked about previously, but now that it's here, it's May 30th, by the way. Texas players are arriving back on campus this week. So they'll start getting after it June 1 with summer workouts. And some of these guys like Nick Townsend, Jerry, the Coleman triplets will all be in town as well. Some of the young men that were not midterm portal transfers will be arriving in Austin as well. I just got sent a text from one of our viewers, by the way, who flew in on the same flight with Myron Charles yesterday from Tampa, Jerry. So he was like, hey, I ran into Myron Charles on my flight from Tampa back to Austin. So those guys are coming back, and football season, 92 days away, but actually the team is all together for the first time. Truly, the team that will be the team, all of them will be together starting June 1. So just a couple days away.
And a kind of a cool thing that happens right now to live and rent free. We're gonna get to that question. We have that start on Carson Baker as well from a recruit perspective. One of the things that's cool right now is a lot of guys. I know KJ Lacey just posted some pics on his Instagram, are going back for high school graduation.
Yep.
Right now. So while they actually technically graduated in December and were able to enroll, a lot of guys go back for their high school graduation ceremonies. There's KJ Lacey. I think that was maybe last night. So while these guys graduate from high school in December and go off to college, a lot of them go back home during this time and take in high school graduation and walk with their class of seniors. Nick Townsend told us, Bobby, when we had him on, he actually reports to Texas tomorrow, or probably driving up today. But he turns around and goes right back because he has high school graduation on the 1st on a Sunday or the 2nd on that Monday. I think it's on the 1st Sunday. So a lot of these kids are the high school graduates are going back right now for their high school graduation to walk with their classes, which is kind of a cool thing for all of them. But all these guys are reporting now. Somebody said Murad Watson time. Yeah, all the portal guys that weren't here for spring will be reporting with the 3 high schoolers. The 3 high schoolers coming in, technically 4. Isaiah Coleman is a preferred walk-on, right? Is Nick Townsend, Jordan Coleman, Devin Coleman, Isaiah Coleman. The triplets from Cedar Hill, grocery bill going down in Cedar Hill. Congrats, parents. You can write the Carson Baker, living rent-free. Carson Baker, running back from Langston Hughes. Texas is not pivoting from Xavier Crowell. He's visiting June 6th. He's at Georgia this weekend. I believe that's a Alabama Texas battle there at the end of the day. Amari Latimer, yes. I don't he had been on the OV list. I actually took him off the OV list. I don't think that one is moving. So I expect Texas to, the other 2 backs they're going after right now are Derek Cooper and Carson Baker, outside of KJ Edwards and Xavier Crowell. But no, Texas wants Xavier Crowell. They're not backing out of him at all. I think Bama's the front runner for Crowell. We'll see what happens when he decides.
All right, you're watching Coffee and Football presented by BKCW. In a minute, we're going to look at the game times that were announced as well, fellas. We haven't got to that. It's been a loaded morning already with a lot more on the way. But first, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone about one of our sponsors today in South Point Dodge.
Yeah, hey, football fans, score an easy extra point this summer when you get to the point at South Point Dodge. South Point Dodge has more than 600 vehicles in stock, and their award-winning sales staff doesn't do games or gimmicks. They just get straight to the point by getting you the best deal possible. Lots of Dodge Ram trucks over there available. So score big today at South Point Dodge. Come see us off I-35 in South Austin or at southpointdodge.com if you want to look around first. Get to the point at South Point Dodge. South Point Dodge is Austin's automotive everything. Looking to sell your car? Get South Point's best offer over the phone or online over there on the Motor Mile on I-35. That's South Point Dodge. Thank you so much for sponsoring On Texas Football.
I'm going to tell everyone about our other sponsor this morning, and that's Timeline's MitoPure. If you work out, it's a supplement that you want to add to your daily regimen because it supports your health at the foundation by encouraging cellular renewal. Even if you don't work out, you want to add MitoPure to your daily routine. It's a precise dose of the rare postbiotic urolithin A, and it works by promoting an essential cellular cleanup process that, well, basically clears out your cell's battery packs. Now, there's a lot of products out there that claim to make you stronger. Maybe they claim to pack on muscle, but Timeline's MitoPure is shown to deliver double-digit increases in muscle strength and endurance without a change in exercise. They don't just claim it, they deliver on it. And I can tell you that I personally love it because it helps me recover a lot more quickly from workouts. I can tell a huge difference with it, actually. And it also gives me a little extra energy, which is an added bonus. MitoPure is the research-backed innovation that unlocks your fullest potential. So awaken the strength, power, and resilience already in you with the first and only supplement that's clinically proven to rejuvenate health at the cellular level. And right now, Timeline is offering 10% off your order of MitoPure. All you have to do is go to timeline.com/OnTexas. That's Timeline, TimeLine.com/OnTexas, and take advantage of that 10% off offer. All right. Well, game times were announced for 6 games yesterday, fellas. So people can start planning ahead a little early. Ohio State, of course, going to be, as we all expected, the big noon kickoff on Fox. And then what is that? San Jose State will be at 11. UTEP 3:15. Sam Houston, a night game, 7. Yeah, 3:15 is going to be hot. OU at 2:30, and then A&M a 6:30 kickoff
On a Friday.
Yes, on a Friday.
Yeah, and Bobby, we went over this yesterday. One of the things I wanted to ask the chat for you guys' opinion. When y'all look at kind of the viewers last year, so Texas OU got, what was it, 7.6 last year, right around 7.62. A&M Texas game got 9.45. For the chat, how much do y'all think that goes up with Arch this year? Just the Arch factor. But that's just something I've been thinking about since we did the show yesterday. But yes, the San Jose State game is going to be 95, 150 on the field. The UTEP game is interesting because that game may be hotter for the players than it is in the stands because that field's going to have been baking all day, Bobby. So it may be 160-ish by 3:15, and then they're out there at 2 for warm-up. So you're really feeling it in that game. Your depth, I mean, poor UTEP in that game.
Poor UTEP, poor Bobby Burton. I'm going to start hydrating now.
You need to start now. And Sam Houston will be
going.
Sam Houston will be a visit weekend, obviously. That's when they'll bring in some kids for that game, the night game, September 20th, obviously. You don't really want to bring in a bunch of kids and moms and sit them in the stands for the 3:15 start. Man, hey, by the way, if kids show up for that one, they're real Texas fans, let me tell you, and recruiting. So, but the 2:30, I like the 2:30 start for Texas OU. I know that's been a topic. I love it. I think more, and I always think from a recruiting brain perspective, but more kids get to attend that game because they do have Saturday morning obligations with their teams after Friday night games. You can get some kids that aren't from the DFW area up for that game. I like the 2:30 start for that game, and obviously the A&M game being at night is going to be awesome.
Yeah. Marco Mendez said the alumni band game is going to be the UTEP game.
Oh,
Can you imagine wearing those polyester suits during at 3:15 in mid? Oh, hopefully they get some. Hopefully they don't have to wear those on September 13th. I would say this that of all this news that we can talk about whether or not we like the 11 o'clock start or the 3:15 start. It's all for television. By the way, the 7 o'clock start with Sam Houston is going to be the only ESPN Plus game that Texas has all year, clearly. So everything else will be on some network of some sort. So that's one part about this schedule. Really, the major issue, because we already knew A&M was moving to Friday. The thing that's interesting to me about this schedule, in retrospect, if I ever had a day to think about it, is the move to the 2:30 kick for OU. Okay, 4 years it's either been that 11 a.m. kick or the 2:30 kick. Very often, ABC has put that in that 11 o'clock time frame to get it in and out of the fair, get going. You don't have to wait late. But it's obvious. This is the second year in a row now. The SEC and television has decided to put Texas OU at 2:30. Okay, they're not going to have it at night, and so putting it that's essentially as prime time as you're going to get for Texas OU, and I think it's great. Jerry Hamilton will be there eating mayo and corn dog beforehand. We'll be there for sure, but. Of all the things that were mentioned in these game slots, that and the heat of the 11 a.m. and 3:15 starts for San Jose State and UTEP were the ones that caught my eye. Just briefly, people have also asked about the Ohio State game and what the audience may be for that, Jerry. Last year, the Texas-Michigan game had 9.4 million viewers.
Yep.
I'm guessing that Texas, Ohio State will be higher.
Yes.
Because it's the first week of the season. Big matchup, former national champion, former Seminole finalist. Arch Manning is a quantifying factor there. So I think that's has a chance to get in the 10 million range, the Texas, Ohio State.
I agree. Yeah, I'm thinking 11-ish at least for that.
Well, we'll see.
I just think it's going to be. Think about how the networks are going to hype it up starting in July.
One network will. It's on Fox. That is one.
Yeah, but even ESPN, because of game day, they're going to hype up Arch.
Well, they will, but here's the thing about game day. You got to also remember this: game day is likely to be somewhere else than Texas, Ohio State, I think. And the reason why, it's going to be Lee Corso's last game day.
Yeah.
So is he gonna go to his alma mater, Florida State, for that game?
Who do they play that week?
There's some
Alabama.
Yeah,
they play Alabama.
And so there's some thought there that could.
I'm wrong. I thought ESPN already said they were going to be at the game for their game, college game day. I thought that was already announced.
I don't think so. There's a lot of thought that it's going to be. That Corso will go back to his alma mater. It's also be closer to his home. Yeah, I think he's 90 years old.
I agree with Jackson S. Going to hit 12.5 million. That's kind of what I'm thinking for that game.
And
you're aggressively optimistic. Jeez.
Yeah.
On a related note, we have a super chat here from Splendid Daddy. Thank you, by the way. He says Arch is probably going to bring in NFL fans
and haters.
Yeah, this is going to be the unveiling of Arch. So that is a factor, Jerry. In this first game, it will be an unveiling of Arch.
He brings the hater fans too. So that brings a lot. Very few guys. Tim Tebow had that ability. Very few guys can bring both fans, and I think Arch is going to be one of those lightning rods. Just look at the way people have covered him so far.
It's interesting.
As many people want to see him do great as fail. Just a reality for him.
Yeah. It brings the hater fans.
Yep.
He's going to convert them all to Texas fans. That's what's going to happen. Yeah. But speaking of Arch Manning, Blake, one of the things that we talked about this morning, Athlon's put out its projection, the magazine that's been on newsstands since I was a young kid. This is their first team offense. Look at this, Jerry and Blake. Arch Manning, first team quarterback. He started 3 games. That's respect now. Thinking that he's going to be the quarterback number 1. Other players on that list, I don't know that there's any big surprises on this list. Jordan Tyson at Arizona State, maybe a little to me. I know he's got Sam Leavitt coming back as a quarterback, and he had a good year last year, but maybe a little lesser known than the rest of these guys. Yeah,
he had a great season until he got injured. I think he had 1,100 yards receiving and 80 catches until he got injured.
Let me ask you this, Jerry. Does another Texas player have a chance on offense? Have a chance to be a first-team All-American?
I think so. Injuries.
Who do you think, Blake? Who do you think?
Jack Injuries.
Jack Injuries.
Yep.
Interesting. Over Eli Stowers, that's possible.
It's interesting. Malagoa, Caden Proctor, it's going to be tough at tackle if those guys stay healthy. Jake Slaughter is going to be really tough there. I might agree with that.
Jackson Campbell says DJ Campbell.
Yep.
Could be if they have a great year now. He'll be a third-year starter.
Yeah.
He'll get some accolades that way. Wingo's going to have a tough row because Smith and Williams. Smith, Williams, Wingo, they all have new quarterbacks.
Yeah. Texas has a couple of guys on defense, by the way.
Yeah, doesn't it say let's jump over to defense here?
Those edges are elite. Dylan Stewart, Colin Simmons. I mean, that is same high school class, 2 tremendous edge prospects. Interesting thing that you notice about this list, guys, for me, after you see Colin Simmons and Anthony Hill, Leonard Moore and Jermod McCoy. Leonard Moore's from Round Rock, Jermod McCoy from White House, both from the state of Texas. Now, Leonard Moore went to Notre Dame, but neither were really highly recruited by the in-state programs. Just an FYI on those guys. I think we have our guest.
Yes, I was about to say we have our guest. Jerry, I'm going to let you do the honors.
Yeah, so we try to bring on the guys that commit to Texas. Trott O'Neal, long snapper commitment to University of Texas, goes to Plano Prestonwood. Trott, thanks for joining us on this Friday morning, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on. It's awesome.
Hey, so first thing I want to ask, let's get the big question out of the way. Why Texas? What was the decision?
Well, first off, I love the campus. I mean, love everything about it, but location's really good for me as well. But the deciding factor was the coaching staff for sure. Coach Banks, mainly, he's been awesome through the whole process. But then both the analysts, Coach Moran and Coach Forestier, are just awesome, and they're better than any other program I've visited and talked to. So it's been awesome.
Let me ask you this. It's got to be a different path for specialists, or it is a different path for specialists like a long snapper, a punter, a kicker to get scholarships. What is that process look like for you, Trott? Like, take people that have never thought about it before through the process of being recruited as a long snapper, because I'm sure you have to go to different camps and all this other stuff.
Okay, so first off, obviously schools don't need like a long snapper every year. So really you have to, for me, there was only certain schools on the table, and luckily one was Texas, but it's a process. So you go to camps to showcase, and they'll give you a ranking. And then these schools also want you to come up to their summer camps, and so they can see you live. And it's different. The rankings are different than just regular positions, but it's specialized. So you have one thing to work on, and they only need one like every 2 years, so it's a lot more. There's a lot more chance and just fortune involved in it.
When did you get into the situation, Trott, where you knew that Texas and teams like that, like Texas, might be a real possibility for you? Like, I mean, I know those are your dreams, but at some point it goes from, I want to do this to, oh man, I may really do this. Was there a phone call or where you pulled aside at a camp, et cetera?
I'd say I went to my first ever snapping camp in November. I went to Adam Tanalski's Hammer Kicking Academy in November of my sophomore year. And after that camp, he basically told me and my dad that he thought I was really talented. And so we decided to go with it. And then after that camp in December, I went to my first Kohl's showcase. And that was the first time I'd ever just gone to a showcase. And up till that point, I was just kind of doing it for fun in high school. But that was my first ever camp, went and charted in the top 10. And it was among the best snappers in Texas. And there were some transfer portal snappers there. So I'd say after that first Kohl's camp, realizing that I can place in the top 10, not having much experience in it, I think I realized pretty quickly. And then also I played quarterback in middle school, and I still currently am the backup quarterback for my high school. So I've always been able to throw a spiral. And so that was pretty easy to turn it into snapping a ball.
Okay, so you kind of took my question, but I was going to ask this and laugh me off the screen if you feel like it. But when you put the football helmet on the first time, you probably didn't think I'm going to be a scholarship snapper. So, okay, when did you start snapping then? Like, how long of a process has this been for you?
I didn't start seriously thinking about it until sophomore year of high school, which is pretty crazy. But the first time I kind of just messed with it was my freshman year on our JV team. I was actually the kicker and I punted some as well. And my friend in high school, Luke Fegley, he was our long snapper. And so I just kind of, in practice when I didn't have anything to do, I'd go over there and, hey, give me a ball and try it out a little bit. And realized, I could do it, but still at that point in my head, I'm not thinking about it at all. And so it's been really crazy just messing around with him and getting good at it and getting a spot on my high school team to do it. And then realizing that I had potential to go to the next level with it. So
just gotta be honest. It's really hard to snap the ball and kick the ball at the same time.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Impossibility. Jerry, you had something?
Yeah, we have a viewer question. It's actually really interesting from Jay Dobbs. Does Trott use his vision or does he snap blind?
So I personally look at the punter when I'm snapping the ball, but there are some guys who just look at the ball or look up and go through. But I look back at the punter when I'm snapping the ball.
What are some of the things that coaches are looking for beyond the rate to get the ball to the punter or kicker? Is it your speed to cover and speed and athleticism to cover punts? Is that part of the process as well?
Yeah. So I'd say, like you said, the main thing is just your ability to get it back there quick. But then after that is speed, athleticism, and definitely size. And because you can't be small at that level. You have to be able to hold off some guys. It's not like O-line. You don't have to be able to block them for a while. You just have to be able to hold them off and then get downfield to try to make a tackle. But that's all they look for after just your ability to snap the ball.
So for those that don't know, family play football. Yeah, if football was it in your background? Was athletics in your background?
So pretty much all my family played when they were in high school and everything. My brother, he actually was a kicker in high school. He went to Tulsa last year, and he was a kicker at Tulsa. And then he entered the transfer portal. He's at UTRGV right now.
Okay.
So he's a kicker. And that kind of helped me get into snapping as well, because him at kicking camps, I wasn't ever really great at kicking, but saw snappers on the other side of the field, and that got me into it. But my parents, I mean, all my parents, grandparents played football, but other than that, everyone's just huge football fans. I'm always over at my grandparents watching college football, so we all love football.
All right, that's Trott O'Neal. Thank you so much, Trott, for joining us. One of the commitments to the University of Texas, long snapper out of Plano's Prestonwood Christian. I'm glad that you're able. You have to be out of school now, or else you couldn't be joining us on Coffee and Football. But congratulations, Trott, and best of luck this season. Hope you have a good summer as well, man.
Thank you for having me on.
All right,
Absolutely. Thank you.
Take care.
That's really cool. Look, I mean, not many high school kids are willing to come on the show at 9. So thanks to Trott for that.
Yeah.
You just get out of school. It's summertime, right? Somebody asked how big is Trott. He's listed about 6'2", 235, 240.
Yeah, good stuff. Look, one of the things, I mean, you can say what you want, but having a deep snapper that is good on punt coverage, Jerry, is very, very valuable.
Yeah.
Not just getting it back there quickly. And the reason why is they can really help manage the middle of the field and let the gunners do more work.
Yeah.
And if he's a bigger guy, like 6'2", 235, Texas had snappers that have been 5'11", by the way.
Right.
Man, I just want to put that out there because it's such a unique position. And not the thing about that, if he's 6'2", it's going to be harder to displace him.
Yes.
Downfield with the kick out blocks. So good stuff. Thanks for setting that up, Jerry.
And Morgan Hale, absolutely. If he makes it the pros, he could have a double-digit year career in the NFL. Who is the snapper from Texas?
Cullen Leffler.
Cullen Leffler. There you go.
Nate Boyer had a little stint. I mean, a lot of guys have done it, but Leffler, I think he may have 10+ years for the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that
can
be a profession.
Yeah.
It can be a profession for some people.
And by the way, I mean, here's the reality of all this is, you know, every single one of these guys impacts winning and can help you win a national championship. And it doesn't matter. Look, he may snap 3 times a game, but you know what? Think about all those snaps that have to be perfect against great athletes who are trying to block your punter's punt. You know, these guys, everybody on the field impacts winning. They have to do their job. And, you know, the kicker, obviously, of the specialist is always going to get the most attention because that literally one kick can win or lose you a game. But all these guys have to impact winning. They all have to pull in the same direction. They all work out together. Look, he'll be out there in Torrey Becton's summer workouts just like Trevor Gooseby or whoever will be. It's they all have to pull together. They're in the same locker room, and they all have to impact winning together. If that's maximizing your program and your team.
All right, guys, let's jump over to some super chats and some questions. And normally I start at the top, but I actually want to start with this one because I planned on getting to it before Trott came on. Joley, thank you for the super chat. Says a legitimate show ranked top 5 SEC defensive lines. Texas was 2, OU was 1. He said by a long shot, and it's not even close. Your thoughts? And
that's Cole Kubelik.
And I'm gonna put that up right here. But y'all's thoughts?
I think Oklahoma's solid, Bobby. I mean, look, now a lot of it's going to come down to what does Marvin Jones bring, because he was a 5-star recruit that hasn't necessarily had the production. He went to Georgia, then to FSU, now to Oklahoma. But Dominic Williams and Jaden Jackson is a tremendous duo inside. Grayson Halton's good depth. We'll see if David Stone ever becomes the player he can be. But R. Mason Thomas, one of the best edge pass rushers, and Adebaware, is this the year he actually takes a step? I mean, Danny Okoye behind Marvin Jones. They have some talent on that.
I told Danny Okoye, Jerry, is a guy to circle for them. He could be an X factor for them this year. So I agree with you. I don't have any problem with OU's first two on the interior. They're big. They're NFL players.
Yes.
Period. Jaden Jackson and Dominic Williams are NFL guys. And Jaden Jackson, I think, could be a high-level NFL guy, by the way. So I agree with that. Interestingly, that Texas at number 2, but to Cole Kubelek's, and I think you and I both watched his conversation about this, Jerry. Texas and what they did in the portal is that impressive.
Yes.
And so for Alex January and Murad Watson and Travis Shaw and Hero Canoe and LeVar Johnson, all of those guys added to the list, along with a Colin Simmons and Ethan Burke and Colton Vosick on the outside, along with Trey Moore potentially as well if he plays end. I mean, Texas has depth, man. That's what. And I will say this: Cole Kubelek focuses largely on the SEC for ESPN, and I will say this: the guys in the SEC that have been around a long time in the media or played in the SEC, like Kubelek did at Auburn, they put a lot of emphasis, Jerry, on quality depth. It's not always just about your frontline players when they're ranking. They're also thinking about depth in this class. So somewhat surprising, by the way, that Alabama is all the way at number 5. Was there a time in Nick Saban's tenure at Alabama? I mean, seriously now, was there a time in Nick Saban's entire tenure that Alabama would have ranked 5th on defensive line in the SEC?
Well, no, for a decade, Bobby, it was Alabama 1 or Georgia 1. They were 1, 2, and Auburn was 3.
That's what I'm saying. So Alabama,
LSU was in there too. Yeah.
Yeah, but you want to know why Alabama may not be the Alabama of Nick Saban? There's your answer.
And look, and Georgia, we've talked about this with Georgia, and this is important because Texas goes to Athens this year. Georgia lost more impact guys on defense than anybody else in the SEC, in my opinion, of the contenders. Now, Ole Miss lost some portal guys, don't get me wrong. But Georgia, I mean, Michael Williams, Nazir Stackhouse, Warren Brinson, Tyron Ingram Dawkins went pro. They lost dudes up front. This is going to be the first year, and I know we have Georgia fans in here from time to time if they want to chime in. This is this, and we say young in game experience, not necessarily inexperience in the program. This is as young in game experience as Georgia's been up front in a while. I mean, they need Christian Miller to be a first or second round pick level player on this team. Jordan Hall, a kid Texas recruited out of the Jacksonville West Side, really talented, was hurt most of last year. Joseph Jonah Janye at one of those edge spots. He got hurt, missed most of the spring. Very talented. But this is Georgia. Trey Scott, their D-line coach, he's going to have to do yeoman's work this year. It's not that they're not talented, but they aren't littered, to your point, like Alabama and Georgia have been in some recent years. And LSU isn't either. They're portal guys and they're young guys. They signed a tremendous high school class at LSU, by the way. Tremendous guys. But those guys are going to have to come through for them. But Texas and Oklahoma, I think, have the best combination, Bobby, of returning experience and depth is I think why they're both now special player Colin Simmons for sure. But I think that depth too for both of those teams is really impressive. And Texas did a lot of that in the portal. But both those teams have tremendous depth on their defensive front.
Yeah, the Texas also lost heavily on defense, just overall, maybe as much as Georgia. Texas lost 5 draft picks.
Yeah,
3 on the defensive line, 1 corner, 1 safety. Ole Miss lost huge on the defensive front. But I think that what Cole is saying there matters, and that's that Texas. I mean, look, Sark and Brandon Harris, they did a good job in the portal. Period. Point blank. And they're all arriving back in Austin now. So let's get it going here.
Yeah.
90 days away.
Hey, one other thing, all the attention that Florida has got, and I bring this up because Texas plays Florida just like Georgia. All the attention pretty much goes to Florida's offense the whole offseason as why they're going to could be a better team this year. Now, I'm not sure they have the depth that the Texas and Oklahoma do on the D-line, but their starting four on the defensive front can roll with anybody. Jamari Lyons, Caleb Banks, those guys are pros. Tyreek Sapp's probably a pro. George Gums, the transfer. Then they have the sophomore LJ McCray, who's really talented. Now DeAndre Robinson booked it on them. They're a little young behind it in terms of depth, but their front four, now they got to stay healthy, but their front four is really good at Florida. They just don't have that depth that Texas and Oklahoma have.
All right, our next super chat comes from Cole Dickerson. Thank you, Cole. And he says, congrats to our Grandview Zebra softball team and future Longhorn softball star Maddie Doty. She pitched 11 strikeouts, leading us to our first softball state championship. It's a great day to be a Zebra. That's awesome.
Congratulations to Grandview.
Yes.
It's always weird. The timing, I want to say this because Jerry was talking about how KJ Lacey was going back to graduate. In high school in Texas, it's really weird to still be playing on the weekend of graduations in your major in sports like softball and baseball. It's almost like they need to move that thing up 1 week if they can, so it doesn't interfere with that sort of stuff for the home or for the kids. But congratulations to Grandview and to the future Longhorn. There.
Yeah. I was just reading a little bit about her. Her goal is to hit 75 MPH. So we'll see. We'll see where she's at when she gets to Texas in that regard, because that was something interesting about the end of the Tennessee Oklahoma game, because Pickens, I guess she's the hardest thrower in college softball. I think she's hit 75, 70, high 74, 75 multiple times. She went out on a 66 mile an hour.
Oh, the Tater, the OU girl hit. Yeah. 7 innings in, and it ain't cool out there in Oklahoma.
No. She went off. She didn't throw fastball.
Oh, okay. She
lost 79. David Ross said 79. Yeah, she's a freak. Pickens, the girl from Tennessee, she didn't go out on her best pitch.
Mm.
That's always a tough one when you walk off the field.
Yep. True story.
Next super chat comes from Jack. We appreciate you as always, Jack. And he says, what are the biggest question marks for the Horns and the Buckeyes in that first game?
Can it be the same?
No, I think they're a little bit different. I think quarterback at Ohio State, and I know you're going to say quarterback at Texas, but I actually think that there's more question marks for me on both of their defenses going into the game than I think the offenses are going to be hit and miss a little bit because it's early season, Jerry. That's just natural, right? Early season, no one's clicking on offense. It's going to be which defense, in my opinion, really comes to play. That's my piece, Jack.
I think offensive line is going to be huge in that game because both those teams are replacing 4 starters, if not 5 for Ohio State. So who's going to have some continuity early with a first-time starting quarterback? I think that's going to be big in that game, especially the center positions. Center is always important for the road team in hostile environments. But to your point, I mean, Texas has 3 new defensive back coaches, right? Even though Kenodo Hudson was on the staff, he is now the Nichols coach. And Ohio State has new defensive staff members as well. So that's going to be interesting to me as kind of the offensive line and defensive staffs. Where's continuity in that game?
And then we have a super chat from MP Houston. He says, Bobby, respectful correction to your prior statement. George Strait is great, but Bob Wills is still the king. Appreciate you guys. Hook 'em.
Well, if you missed the early part of the show, we were talking about George Strait because we were talking about Pearsall, Texas. Pearsall, Texas is the home of Les Studdard, the uncle of Casey Studdard, but Les played for the Longhorns, played a little bit in the NFL as well. And he was our number 92, or one of the number 92s, former 92s that have made a dent at the University of Texas. Another one, Jerry, I mentioned at the outset was James Patton, wore number 92. He's a Clear Creek grad. I don't know if you remember that. Jerry went to Friendswood. I went to Dobie, and that's kind of in that little area of such. Clear Creek's kind of nestled in there as well. Larry Dibbles is number 92. You're right. Zane Petty, he's from Lancaster up in the Dallas area. That may have been the first Lancaster player I remember Texas taking as well.
Yeah.
And kind of ushered in Lancaster having more prospects, Jerry.
So here's a little, let's test the chat here. I'll see who goes to Wiki the quickest, because if you get this, you're from Clear Creek. Where's Rob Enfield today? Who's the other famous athlete, Clear Creek graduate? Pro baseball, MLB. See if who can get that one. The guy played with one of the all-time greats. He hit cleanup behind one of the all-time.
I know who it is. You know that.
Yeah.
We'll give the
Come
chat
on now.
time to look. Our next super chat comes from Major Alexander. Going back to recruiting for a moment, he said, "Did tight end Mark Bowman commit to Texas?" Jerry?
No. Mark Bowman he's making official visits. He is well into his official visit process. He is he's visited Ole Miss. He's got Texas coming up. He's got Georgia coming up. He's got USC coming up, and he has got Oregon coming up. So his official visit process is just getting underway, and he has got some big ones coming up in June.
Yep. All right. And then let's see here. Our next one comes from Drew Lockhart. And Drew says, "How do you guys think a running back like Cooper or Crowell look at our running back room talent and depth currently with the injuries and uncertainty comparing to their other official visits, especially if they want to come in and play right away?"
Well, that's a good question. I guess, Bobby, here's the question for before you kind of get to the room. If Trey Wisner goes for 1,000 yards again this year and is 10 pounds heavier, he's probably going pro. I mean, Tashard Choice predicted that before the Arizona State game. If Cedric Baxter comes back healthy, whenever that is, and he puts up 600-700 yards and he finishes the season healthy, after a major knee, do you go pro and not risk coming back for another year of college football? So they're going to lose somebody to the NFL draft. For whatever reason, they could lose a couple of guys off this team as well. So I think that's pretty easy to work around if you're Sark and Chad Scott and Kyle Flood and all those guys in those meetings. You're like, hey, we've had guys go pro every year early for 3 straight years. So we want you to come in here and kick butt and be here 3 years, just like boom, boom, boom. I mean, that's going to be the message, because they're going to say, we want Trey Wisner to have a great year and go to the NFL draft.
I would say there's another nuance to this, Jerry, that we didn't mention yet, and that's that Xavier Crowell and Derek Cooper don't really care who else is there. There's those
colleges are trying to make them care.
yeah. Other colleges are trying to get in their head about it, maybe. But Derek Cooper doesn't really need to worry about who else is there. Neither does Xavier Crowell. The great thing about running back, and that has become commonplace, is they have now, as a position, realized that less tread on the tires in college is a good thing. Because there is a clear lifespan of a running back and number of carries. So those guys, I think they're okay with another running back or two in that running back room that's really, really good.
That's a good point. These guys, there's no 40 carries a game, guys.
Yeah, they don't want 300 carries in a season these days.
Yeah.
They, let's get to about 180 to 225, and that's enough for me. So I think that's part of it. And then I also think that those two guys, that in particular, Derek Cooper and Xavier Crowell, that you're asking about, are just really, really talented. Like maybe the two best running backs in the country. And so I don't think from that mindset standpoint, if they're as good as I think they are, they probably have that same attitude about themselves, even more than I do. So that would be my answer, Drew.
By the way, the chat got the correct answer. Jay Buhner. Jay Buhner was a Clear Creek grad. Ended up hitting cleanup behind Ken Griffey Jr. for a few years in Seattle. I think he had about 230, 240 home runs in his MLB career.
Good player, man.
Really good. 310 home runs. He got over 300.
He was a little older than me.
4 years older, Bobby.
What's that?
He's 4 years older. According to Wikipedia.
All right, Bobby, one last time. Tell everyone how they can escape the insurance trap.
Yeah. Did your business have a frustrating insurance or employee benefits renewal? Most likely you didn't hear from your agent all year, and then right before it was time to renew, your agent delivered the bad news of a rate increase with no time to look for other options. When this happens, the agent is providing no value, and you're stuck in what we call the insurance trap. BKCW takes your business out of the insurance trap by providing you with actual risk management consulting, not just price quoting, operating out of its headquarters in Austin and owned by a UT grad. BKCW uses a 5-step process to identify your business's weak spots, design a plan, execute it, and monitor your situation throughout the year so that you can lower your costs and effectively manage your company's risk and employee benefits profile. BKCW has risk consultants that specialize in several industries, from construction and transportation companies, nonprofits, school districts. You'll get matched up with someone who knows your risks and can help you escape the insurance trap. Get started with a free risk assessment at bkcw.com. Send an email to info@bkcw.com to get started. Lower your insurance costs for your business. Get the support you deserve. Call 512-250-5055 or go to bkcw.com. That's BKCW Insurance. Thank you for your support of On Texas Football.
I need to answer a question real quick. Jeff Carey said, what happened to Joy Mode? A&M fans bought all of it to get through a spring season of athletics. When
nothing else to cheer for.
When they get more product in, I'm sure we'll get another read.
Mike Early may be needing some of that here soon. He is Trev Alberts. By the way, that's the Texas A&M baseball coach, for those unaware. Trev Alberts was happy to be in Destin this week because he didn't have to be in College Station dealing with what could be a $20 million mistake for his baseball coach. $15 million mistake.
4.2, I think is what it is. 4.2. But I think they keep him.
Ooh, you think so?
I think they keep him. And one of my reasons, besides what I was told off, is a lot of times, you guys know, you try to provide a soft landing for your readers. And if you read a lot of what's coming out of A&M right now, it sure seems like they are trying to lessen the blow for A&M when they, make it known that Early stays. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, one of their candidates that we thought would be their candidates, the coach at Virginia, apparently is taking the Mississippi State job.
Great hire by
Mississippi State. Great. Yep. So, good job there. I think if they end up with anybody, it's Rob Vaughn at Alabama.
Okay.
So I just want to say this. Moving from Charlottesville, Virginia to Starkville, Mississippi.
That's a 180.
Those are two different towns now. Having been to both.
Price.
Very different towns.
Price of cowbells went up to get that one done.
Yeah. Well, she's got a couple national championships.
Great. Tremendous coach.
Not too long ago.
I agree with that. So firing a first-year coach, Rex St. Charles says, looks real bad. If I were Trevor Alberts, I would do it though. You don't take a roster as talented as he had, spent more on NIL than anybody in the country, I think, in baseball. A&M did, right? Didn't make the NCAA tournament. If I'm the AD, I'm sorry. I would make that firing after 1 year, period. Sometimes you just know. And, how they imploded, why they imploded. Oh, injuries. They didn't have this. Texas dealt with as many injuries as they did. Texas lost starting Friday night pitcher. Yeah. Don't give me this.
Well, no, yeah. You can't have the injury card on that one because you want team. We didn't talk about earlier when we were looking at going through the D-line rankings, but A&M can't play that card. Oklahoma is the one that dealt with injuries in a sport last year. When I was looking back on that with football, 3 or 4 receivers. They're Cheetah Dolby, their best corner. I mean, they lost some dudes for the year that were really good players off that team or for extended periods of time. Not that A&M didn't encounter anything like what Oklahoma did in football last year. Not even close.
Yeah. I just say my point is more of sometimes early, and if you're a leader, you need to make decisions as soon as you can.
I agree.
All right, we got a follow-up. Drew put in the super chat a minute ago about the running backs, and he put in another. So thank you again, Drew. He says, less tread on tires before moving on. Great point.
Yeah.
Running back position, the thought by young running backs, people around running backs has really changed in the last 7 to 8 years. And even at the high school level in some ways.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit, unless you have a real dude. Look, if Cedric Benson was coming out of Midland High again or Midland Legacy, it's Legacy, sorry, Legacy now, he would still carry it 35 times a game because he was that guy, right? But there is some thought in some high school coaches I've talked to now of not doing that to some backs. It's kind of matriculated on down a little bit. There are times you have to, obviously, depend on your team, but if they have the ability to, it's actually trickled down in the high school a little bit.
I want to say this, and I'll give Nick Saban credit for this. He popularized it.
Yeah.
Like other people were talking about it behind the scenes, Blake and Jerry. But when he had Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs and Najee, he had Najee Harris. He had all these guys, just one after another, and one would be a sophomore, the other would be a freshman, and they would just cycle through like that. I think a lot of running backs caught on and Kenyon Drake, those types of guys, Mark Ingram. He had a bunch, and they all got the ball enough, and they all got to the promised land of the NFL with plenty of tread left on the tires.
All right, one other question before we get out of here. This one from Nathan. Do you think any of these summer freshman enrollees can make an impact this year? I assume Townsend, but are there any others?
If you're talking high school, it would be Nick Townsend because I think the Coleman twins will be or triplets, but the twins OLs will be headed for redshirt developmental years. And I think Jordan will play, probably get more. Now, he may cross-train, but he'll get looks at spots, but probably guard. And Devin could get some reps at center as well as guard.
Yes. Dave actually says this. Tip of the Longhorn cap to the construction and maintenance workers for repairing the center field wall by today's game. If you missed the pictures earlier, the center field wall in Batter's Eye at Dish Falk were completely obliterated with the storm that ran through Austin on Wednesday night. They got it fixed and new center field wall erected late yesterday. So yes, hat tip to them so that Texas could play today at 1:00 against Houston Christian in the Austin Regional. Very, very strong stuff. Hey, Blake, that other guy said that he had a newborn. I want to make sure we give a tip of the cap to him too.
Yes. And unfortunately I unstarted on accident and it was back a little bit. So
you can't find it.
I can't bring it back up. I'm so sorry.
Well, congratulations. We saw that in the chat, and I just want to say congratulations to anybody that has a newborn kiddo. It's you'll have the time of your life with that, man.
I am so sorry on that. I meant to bring it. And then once I unstarted, I thought, oh no. Also, before we get out of here, Chris Del Conte posted this, and I didn't realize that NCAA championships for rowing today, right now, actually. So it's going on.
I don't know if Mercer County, New Jersey is northern or southern New Jersey. Have to find that out. Maybe Princeton's hosting it. Sounds about right for rowing.
I think so.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football presented by BKCW. I want to thank them along with South Point Dodge and, of course, Timeline for sponsoring today's show. Bobby, what do you have later today?
The guys are back at 1 o'clock with a Longhorn live stream. That will actually coincide a little bit with the baseball game, so y'all can watch along and listen, talk about that as it's happening. Then also Football Theory comes back tonight. Rod Babers, Jeff Howe, talking a little bit. We'll have the Saturday conversation tomorrow morning. Jerry and CJ will also be bird dogging recruiting. So if there's any news that breaks, we talked about some guys coming in over the weekend for this June 1 kind of invite only 2027 group that Jerry and CJ will be tracking. Make sure you check out ontexasfootball.com for the latest updates there.
And if you're not a member, when you sign up, you can use promo code OTFOG and you can lock in an annual subscription for just $49.95. Promo code OTFOG. Well, hope you all have a great weekend. Of course, we'll be back on Monday morning. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.